Hello everyone, Namaste. My name is Ashwini. Welcome to another episode of Growth Fit interview series brought to you by CustomFit.ai. CustomFit.ai enable marketers and sales professionals to customize the web content without any code changes to showcase the right value proposition. It's super simple, just three steps. Install the CustomFit Chrome extension, go to the website and customize the content because it will completely change into the visitor mode and visual editor mode and generate a shareable link and track the visits. So today we have Javier Ortiz with us. And hi Xavier, welcome to the show and thanks a
Hello.
lot for joining us.
Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah, so Xavier, I want to start with your journey so far, how you started. I think you have been into business development more than 2 decades. So you have so much experience. If you would like to take us from, I think, 1994 to
hmm
2022, what changes have you seen?
Well, like we were talking before of the screen, business development is often identified with sales, and rightly so, because it has a lot to do with sales and growing revenues for companies. But I think growing the business also touches many other different aspects of the companies, not only the sales, but growing the team, growing the product lineup, growing their partnerships, growing the markets they operate in. And sometimes you don't sell straight away, you just need to invest in a
Hmm.
market. And that's also part of uh, uh, you know business development and identifying the opportunities on how to pivot or open new lines of businesses that the company can enter. So throughout my career, I've been mostly involved in one way or another with business development and developing ideas, developing projects within different types of companies. I've been lucky enough to work in many different sectors, from video games to luxury goods to electronics to media and public public reports to international conventions and marketplaces, online marketplaces, internet, SEO, and now I'm very much involved with technological solutions for different types of businesses and websites. But in all those cases, it's always the same thing. At the end, you need to establish the right relationships with the right people and look for common ground, look for symbiotic relationships with your partners, with your clients, with your providers, with your employees. So I do believe that in the end, business development is the building the right relationships and keeping them growing, keeping them healthy.
Well, I would say that's a very mix and match of each and every work sector that you have, like you have worked in e-commerce, you have worked in maybe SaaS, you have worked with many of the
I've
different
also
kind
worked
of
in real
brands.
commerce. I was selling
Oh,
telephones and switches and professional loudspeakers,
my
but it all
goodness.
comes down to the same. It all comes down to
Hmm.
finding how to serve
Sorry.
and how to solve other people's problems and needs.
I think we are coming to the basics that wherever we go, it's the same. You just need to understand where if someone has to come into the picture of business development, if someone has to start the career with business development, he or she should know about it, what they are going to do in next few years or next
Yeah.
year throughout your career.
Where do they
I
want
think
to
that's
go? Where do they want to go? What's their main need or their main problem to solve and provide the solutions for them? Now, you may have products or you may have services or you may have solutions that
hmm,
are standard. You have a telephone, it's a telephone. You have a speaker, the
hmm,
speaker produces sound. But each client is going to use it in a different way. Whether you're going to use it to set up a call center, or whether you're going to use it to just have connection with your salespeople on the road, or whether you're going to use it for conferencing, or whether you're going to use it
hmm.
just to have an answering machine and get messages recorded, or if you have a loudspeaker, it could be for a large venue like a stadium, and it will be more. for ambiental sound, or it could be for a concert. It could be for a road show. It could be just for a disco, and it stays on the same spot, and it needs to play loud and clear. So the product is the same, but the uses and the solutions and the way it serves the client completely different, and the business associated with each one of those use cases is different. So you need to understand that you have a product, but the product has to turn into a solution, not into a fixed device. And if you're talking about technology, you have software, or you have data. How you process that data and how you use that data is completely different to each kind of a business. Although the way you may collect and process the data is the same, the end use is what it's important, and understanding how the client is going to value that and is going to make use of it.
I think it's an in-depth analysis what you do with understanding your customers, understanding your marketplace, understanding who and why they are going to use it. So it comes with every W, who, why, and how maybe they are going to use that thing. I think I
Yeah,
should.
that comes first. That comes first. Normally, we tend to try and sell the product before we understand who, why, and how. And that's, you should
Yes.
first take the time to understand who, why, and how, and then you adapt your solution to the need, to the
That's
end
cool.
use.
And yeah, it's coming to the complete basics, and it is important to understand why and who and how. And uh, so coming to the marketplace, would you like to share something about how to enter new marketplace? How did you, so you worked in making companies and taking companies to new marketplace, growing them, and maybe grabbing partnerships for them, grabbing or maybe increasing revenue for them. So how did you really get into this thing? And
Yeah.
is there any methodology that you prefer to go for?
I was fortunate enough to join a startup that was starting what one would say was a Google for classified ads, or a Kayak or a Trivago for classified ads. So basically a meta search, a search engine only for properties and for jobs and for cars. But it was a search engine for properties worldwide. So we
Okay.
would do what Google does for searching a property much better than Google, because we would go very deep
Oh.
and we would understand whether the customer wanted a property with certain features, or in a specific suburb, or with a certain price limit, or with a certain size, just like Kayak does with flights. It tells you, do you want to stop by these airports? Do you want to use these airlines? How much time do you have? And when do you want to leave, and when do you want to arrive, and adjust all the results to that limitation, looking at every travel website in the world. Well, we would do the
Okay.
same with property websites and with auto websites and with job websites. And we expanded across, I think it was like almost 60 countries at the end of our journey. So we had a lot of users coming to our site from everywhere in the world, and we would cooperate with a lot of portals, a lot of content providers anywhere in the world. At the end of the day, our website was only one page. It was the search result page, because when the user wanted to see the property, he would jump into the detail page of the property on the content website, on the marketplace that provided
Okay.
that ad, and we would basically charge them for the click, for the traffic.
Okay.
So we were a
Okay.
pay-per-click platform kind of business.
Hmm.
But the good thing about it was we were able to understand and look at the markets from far up in 54 different countries. So we would see, for instance, India, as compared to the UK or to Australia, they had a completely different level of maturity in the market, in the process of becoming online marketplaces for properties.
Ah, yeah.
The beginning of everything comes from the classified ads you would find on newspapers. The paper
Hmm.
section, where all these little classified ads that would advertise cars or jobs
Understood.
or properties.
Hmm.
Now that made it a jump, a digitalization about 20 years ago, 15 years ago,
Ah.
and it started being published in online. And
Mm.
at a certain point, newspapers lost their capacity to charge for those ads because you could do them much better on the internet and add pictures and videos and a lot of descriptions to them. And in many places, they would be free to publish, right?
Mm.
And you would pay
Mm.
for an upgrade, or you would pay if you received the lead. Now, newspapers lost one of their major sources of revenue, but that didn't
Mm.
happen at the same time in every single country. So in India, for instance, in India Times still has a lot of classified ads and people pay for them. Whereas
Mm.
in the UK, the London Times has lost most of its classified ads, at least for properties and cars, and nobody wants to
Okay.
pay $1,000 to just appear on a little piece of paper for one day, where
But
you
you
can
did
pay a
that
hundred bucks,
in-depth research for it.
when you can pay $100 or none at all and be on a website with pictures for a month. Okay, so the whole thing changed completely, and the media, the printed media business, had to adapt. Many printed media around the world, very reputed ones, went down. They either disappeared or they lost a huge chunk of revenues and structure and people and teams and everything. Whereas a new industry was born. It was a marketplace, the online marketplace industry. Initially, it was called the online classified industry, but then after a few years, they realized that it was a marketplace. It was just a place where people would come and buy and sell and get in contact. Now, in the beginning, it was a purely advertising business. You would pay to be there. And you even, in many places, you wouldn't even pay. You would pay if you wanted to have a premium position on it. But you could just
Mm.
advertise your car for free. You can still do, leaks in India or
Mm.
many other places. You can still advertise anything you want to sell for free, and you sell it. You
Mm.
just get calls for people that want to buy it, negotiate and sell it. That's it. It's free.
Yeah.
Obviously, the media, the site, earns some money because of the traffic that it gets through the pages. Is really big. It's really important, and they sell this, static advertising or dynamic advertising now. And they sell premium positions on their listings, and they sell sometimes leads, and they are starting to become a little bit more intermediaries in the whole thing. Some sites have evolved and they don't charge any money for advertising, but they charge if you sell the house. They
Mm.
charge a small commission, or they are they're offering you to buy your house or to buy your car at a given value because they have so much data about how many cars are for sale on the same category and brand. They know more or less how much these cars cost, so they offer you a price that is 5 or 10% discount over the market price, and then they flip it. They buy it from you and they just put it on their website and they sell it for a little profit. Again, OLX is doing that worldwide and it's very successful at it. And they're even opening physical outlets where you can bring your car and leave it there. And they will review the car, they will even sometimes refurnish it, and they will sell it for a profit. So the whole industry, the whole business has changed a lot from a purely free to list, pay to upgrade advertising model into a transactional marketplace.
Mm.
And the newcomers on the space, they're not even coming from the media or the online website world. They're directly financial institutions, or they're dealers that just basically operate online, or agents or developers that are selling their properties directly online. And maybe not the full cycle, but at least like the booking or the reserve, the down payment for the property, you do it online, and then you go to the offices and you go through the whole process. But the
Mm.
whole process of transacting for high expenditure, slow turnout goods like cars or properties, it's being digitized and it's being disintermediated.
And it has become
Brokers and
fast
dealers
also.
are changing the way they work into a much
Mm.
more digitized manner. And there are a lot of companies working on how to ease the tasks and the processes that all these intermediaries have to go through in terms of
Mm.
paperwork, in terms of conveyancy, in terms of valuations, in terms of all of these things. Now AI and data is helping to create a much better appraisal of the good and a much better um, reducing the pain points and the time that these goods are for sale.
So, as you said that digitization, AI, and database, it has a particular role nowadays in new markets or positioning a product in the market. So, do you think acquisition and partnerships also has digitization has role into acquisitions or maybe
For sure.
building partnerships?
For sure. I mean, that's one of the things that we could see from our watchtower, not being a player in the market, but a provider, a technical provider. We didn't deal with any local state agents or car dealers or property developers. Those were our clients in a way, and we didn't deal with much of the user journey, because what we would do is we would get a user that was looking for something very specific and take it faster, like in a wormhole on space, to the other end of the universe where they would find the specific good. Like if you want a red 1974 Mustang with leather seats, you look for that on a normal car site, you don't find many. You would look for that in one of our sites, you would find like 50 or 60. It's straight away. And all the cars are red and all the cars are Mustang. That's very difficult to do. That not even Google does that. That's why Google liked what we did, and we had a very good position on Google, because we did very well providing difficult results to very specific searches. Now, that was understanding what the user wants and understanding how the user wants to look for things. The user has changed the way it interacts with Google in a big way. There's still many users that just say red car or Mustang for sale. But a lot of users have learned that if you ask for a Mustang for sale, you will get hundreds of thousands of results from old Mustangs that were on the market years ago, from Mustangs that are sold anywhere in the country or outside of the country, from Mustangs that are from 1974 to 2022, from $10,000 to $100,000. That's no way to get started. So they already go and say, red Mustang 1974, leather seats, and if they even have the version of that model and they say RQB or whatever is turbo
Very
fuel,
specific.
they will go very specific. Now, if you understand that, you can provide them with much better results, take them to the end of the journey without the pain of going through all these different steps and filters, and get them closer to transact, getting closer to actually, I want to call this guy that owns the Mustang and ask him for a price or for a test drive or for a discount. And that is
So
adaptable to any
that
kind of
creates an
market.
engagement between
If you want
buyer
a
and
pizza, if you want a pizza, you have to first look for a restaurant near you who sells that pizza, and if they have the flavor and the size that you want,
yeah.
or once you go through that pain once, the website or Google can understand who you are and what you do. And on a Friday night, they will already offer you the pizza before you even look for it. So,
Yes.
it's not even reducing the number of clicks or steps that you have to take to actually get to the point where you can buy or purchase or sell or get the information you're looking for. But understanding how you think and what your needs are. And I know that you will order pizza every Friday night, and it's likely a pepperoni pizza or a tuna pizza. So I don't even wait for you to look for it. I have a pop-up or a message or a prompt that when you open your phone or your browser says, ready for pizza, tuna or pepperoni. It's a minus one click. It's not a zero click, it's a minus one click.
Minus one click.
And that's understanding how your consumer works. Getting closer, it's not even getting closer to a transaction, it's anticipating the transaction, anticipating your user needs. And obviously, for a house or a car, it's not the same, because you're not going to buy a house or a car every Friday night. But it comes down to the same. It's like, okay, once I understand what you're looking for, and once I see the journey that you've gone through and the type of houses or apartments you've been looking for, maybe I can make a better job at showing you the products that you need, and not only showing them to you while you're online on that particular website, but also while you're browsing other websites as well through remarketing, retargeting, social selling, or whatever else. Now, some people might think that that's stalking, that's saturating the client with too many advertising message. In my view, it's making them much more efficient and relevant for the client. I'm not interested on jumping ropes or
Hmm.
shoes just because I saw one shoe the other day, or I'm not interested to go back to London to the same hotel I was there last week. So I'm not interested to see that hotel over and over again.
Hmm.
But perhaps I'm more interested to get a haircut, and I haven't found the place where to get a haircut. So if I find recommendations to get a haircut while I'm on Instagram, that might be very useful for me. But
I
the, they need to understand my needs, and
I
that's
can
that, and
totally
AI is helping to do that a lot.
I can totally relate because with Custom Fit, like our tech team was working on the same problem with B2B and B2C websites. So people come to the website and but they drop from there. They drop from the even homepage or maybe the relevant the ad page, but they don't come and see in detail. So that's where we came into picture and we tried to work something on it. And we tried to make a hyper personalization platform where exactly what as you said. So if you want to buy a pizza, then the thing should come in that way that as if it is a tailor made for you, as if the website
Yeah, don't
is
show me the
solving.
homepage. Don't show me the homepage where I have to start selecting what restaurant I want to go to, or I have to start selecting if I want pizza, pasta, or dessert. Take me directly to the pizza on the restaurant that is
Hmm.
closest to me, and then you can try to take me to upsell, to an upsell of, you want pasta with it, or do you want a dessert, or do you want to order from a different restaurant? But the typical thing would be that I order from the restaurant that I ordered last time that is near to my home.
That's completely true. So, as Xavier, I learned many things from you regarding business development. Would you like to tell something about the companies you're working with, Significant Media, Portal
Sure, sure,
Venture,
sure. I
you're
mean,
owner of a IO box. So,
mhm,
what you really do and how things are
mhm.
going there?
Yeah, gladly. I mean, I've been, like I was telling you offline, I've been working for different companies in many different sectors throughout the last 30,
Hmm.
35 years, from video games to luxury goods, cigars. Uh, some of the things were online, digital, and other things was physical. I sold switches and telephone terminals. I sold professional loudspeakers. I sold media space. I sold advertising on TV. I sold traffic, with Mitula and this aggregator business. And I've been also working for some marketplaces, some online marketplaces in different parts of the world, basically helping people sell their goods, sell their house, buy their home, getting a mortgage, etc., etc. Today, I'm consulting companies on that space on how to best develop and grow their business, how to get a mortgage service installed on top of a property portal, or how to get a auction for cars built on top of their car vertical, where people can actually sell their car direct to a dealer through a proper, open, transparent auction, or they can get a valuation of their home, or you can build all kinds of side businesses on top of the need, which is, I need a house. But if you need a house, you already need an insurance, you need a mortgage, and you probably need refurnishing, and you probably need a carpenter, you probably need painters, and you probably need to connect to the water service and the telecom. So how can I build those services on top of my portal business, which is basically an advertising of property? So I've done that in different parts of the world for different companies, and now I consult, I help other companies do that on a bespoke freelance basis. But I also work with technological companies that help e-commerce sites and marketplaces develop or understand better their businesses. So I work with Signify Media, which is a digital marketing agency from Australia that has developed a very clever and very cutting edge technology to actually do what we were saying before, retargeting and remarketing services and products from a small website that only gets 5 minutes of user sessions into the whole World Wide Web, where he can get 100 hours a week or a month of user attention. So you basically understand what the user needs, you get the first party data, and then you build an automatic programmatic ad buying campaign so that every time that user comes into any website, they will be able to go and show or see that product or service back again. And it's a very, very flexible, very, very customizable service that works with AI and with automatic content creation. It creates the banners and the creativities by itself. And you can start with very low budgets, you know, with $100 to $200 a month. You can start a campaign. Obviously, we don't provide that on an individual basis for $200. We work with marketplaces where they can offer it to multiple clients at $200, but the total bill starts at $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month. So if you're a developer and you're investing $3,000 a month on digital marketing, you probably want to talk to us and see how you can increase the effectiveness of your campaign and get better leads from people that are actually more interested on buying your products. Portal Ventures is an SEO company. We do long tail SEO for marketplaces, e-commerce, booking sites, where we do basically what Mitula was doing, you know, getting the long tail searches, the hard to get searches with relevant content so that you get more people that know exactly what to do or what they want. And instead of doing it as a kayak or as a search engine, we do it with the content provider itself. So with the property portal, with the car portal, with the booking side, with the e-commerce side, we help them be found for these longer term searches. And it's a very high-end tech solution that is adapted and customized to every client. I also work with a company called IOBox, which is also a technological company providing initially, it was a call tracking service. So you put a phone masking the phone number that the person is going to call, whether it's for a service or for a product or for anything, and you reroute those calls through a recording service that would basically record information about the call, how long it lasted, if it happened or it didn't, if it was successful, meaning if it was answered on the other end or it was no answer. And it can even make insert a short message on the call saying this call is provided you by, so that clients know that your website is providing that lead. Now it has evolved a lot over the past few years, and now the call tracking is just a small portion of what they do. What we do now is more of a data gathering company. So you create a string of data out of every conversation that your company has or your clients have through your website, so that you can understand not only whether the phone was or the lead was made, but what happened during that conversation, whether the lead actually ended up on a purchase, on a meeting, whether the person that attended them used the right script, used the right procedure to follow and enrich and nurture that lead. You can select and you can identify keywords on the conversation that automatically create actions, flags. Like if a person asks for financing, he gets an email offering him, you know, a mortgage from a mortgage provider. Or if the client is complaining, it immediately reroutes the call to customer service to find out what happened and see how we can make this customer happy. So there's a lot of things that can be done once the call gets into a transcript of text and it becomes analyzed by natural language AI, and you can basically identify or create chains of actions without the whole interaction. And you don't need to listen to all the conversations, because you just get a report of all the different actionable things or remarkable things that happen on every call.
Cool.
That's mostly what I'm doing with technology providers. I'm also working with individual clients doing M&A or doing market research or trying to expand their businesses, connecting them with my network of contacts.
That's really great, and I think these are really good products, and I think maybe services that Portal Venture or I Works or uh,
Signify.
Signify Media, those are providing. So coming to the maybe teams as business development teams. So in your career, you must have grown up like building, like you have worked on building teams, growing culture of the organization. So would you like to say something about it?
Sure. I mean, I was lucky enough to go through many different steps of company creations. I worked for multinationals, I worked for family businesses, I worked from startup. I mean, at Mitula, we started a group of 5 people. And when I left, there were 150, and we still were a very, very efficient and low infrastructure or low overhead company because we were servicing 54 markets, with these 150
Oh.
people. And any one of our partners, of our clients, any portal in any of these individual countries would have 150 employees for one vertical. So for the car vertical in India, eBay or OLX or car guru, whatever, they would have 100 to 100 employees just for the car vertical. We had 150 for all the verticals in every country, so that we were very efficient. But we still grew the team from not fitting into a taxi to fit into a taxi to not fit into several buses. So, and we actually experienced that because we're going on company outings, on dinners, or team buildings. And at the beginning, we could take one taxi or two taxis and everybody would fit. And at the end, we needed several buses to bring everybody in. The important thing is that you create a strong company culture, and you don't do it artificially. You have to do it from the core. You have to do it from example. You have to do it with great leaders and delegation. You have to create team leaders that are very much identified with what you want to develop or what you are creating, and team members that are very, very much knowledgeable about their role in the whole picture. So, you always find conflicts between the marketing department and the sales department, and they blame each other for whatever's going wrong. You find tensions between the sales department or the marketing department and the accounting department, because the accounting department doesn't want to spend and wants to keep track of everything that's going on. And sales teams and marketing, they want more money and they want more resources and they don't want to keep track of what's going on. Then you have the tech team, or you have the data team that basically lives in a world of its own and thinks they're in possession of the truth. So they don't want to listen to what the market needs, but what it's more efficient and better programming or better solutions or better AI or better UX. Okay, but UX is fine, and you might be a genius in design, but you need to listen to our customers and what they need. So it's a trade-off between everything. Now, if you have everyone aligned and every piece of those things works like a very good switch clock, and all the different wheels turn at the same speed or turn at different speeds, but synchronous, you can go at the speed of light. I mean,
Another
we set up
level.
the company from nothing, and in less than 10 years we did an IPO in Australia
Oh,
for $200 million. And there
that's
are
super
cases
cool.
of
Super
faster
cool.
growth than that. I mean, I'm not saying that we were the fastest growing anywhere, but it was done because everybody had a very clear sense of what we were going, and they had a clear focus on what they needed to do to get there and what their role in the whole picture was. And conflicts are unavoidable, but you can work them out by letting people show their frustration and get love from anybody else, and understand why they have to do things they don't like and
That's
why
so
this is
cool.
happening, or who has screwed up, and nothing's wrong. Screwing up is fine. It's part of the process. We learn by screwing up. We don't learn by getting it right. Another
So,
different thing is when you merge two different cultures, and when you grow inorganically and you acquire companies that are theoretically very interesting or very complementary, but in practice, they are different things. They're different entities with different cultures. Now you have to try and get the best of both. In my view, There are two ways to do it. Is one, you impose everything on top of the other one and you let everybody go, or you try to take the best of both worlds. I wouldn't say there is a better solution than the other. It has to be adapted to each individual case. Sometimes it's better to absorb part of the culture from both companies and create a new culture, which is harder. Or other times it's better just to overlap and say, look, this is what it's going to be from now on. Whoever doesn't like it or doesn't understand it, they're ready. They're ready to go. They can leave anytime. But I think you need a little bit of both. You need a little bit of creating your own culture and acquiring cultures and ideas from other companies, whether it be as an acquisition or as a joint venture or as an investment. We had investments from different companies, from different individuals that inputted their knowledge and their good thinking to the company. And also I learn to identify when the current leaders of each team or the whole company are ready to step down and leave the space for somebody else, because the stages that companies go through, they're ideal for different types of leadership and different types of knowledge and experience. So you also have to identify that, knowing when to let go and knowing when to get somebody else on board.
So, Xavier, on the last note, I want to understand, I want to place this question in two ways. So, first way is, if you hire a business development executive, associate, manager, director, anyone. So, what are the two basic things would you like to see in him or her? Other way, if somebody wants to get into business development field, what are the things they need to understand before getting into it? Maybe the challenges of this profile, or maybe strength of this profile. What are the cool things that you're going to do, or what are the most enjoyable things that you're going to do, or maybe you're going to love with your profile? So the two things that you loved about business development, or maybe that would you see in hiring a person?
Well, first, on hiring somebody for business development or for anything for that matter, I mean, there are two basic points, two basic conditions you have to fill. One is relatively easy. Is you need to have the skills. You need to have the necessary level of preparation and experience to accomplish the job. So you need to make a very good job description in describing the day-to-day activity of what this person is going to be asked to do and what are the results that you expect from him or her and how you're going to measure them. Okay, and then of course how you're going to measure them and how you're going to retribute them. What's going to be the compensation or the scheme? Is it going to be fixed? Is it going to be variable? Is it going to be both? Is it going to be tagged to certain performance, so that they understand very well what they're getting into and what they're expected to do and what is the reward for it. So that's more of a hard description and the hard part. And if you need an engineering degree, or if you need a sales or a marketing degree, or if you need a human communications degree, there are many different professions or education that can fit different jobs. Obviously, if you need a programmer that knows JavaScript or knows Python or knows whatever else, you're building an e-commerce website, they will need to know a specific technology that you're going to apply. Or if you're building a search engine, they need to know JSON, or they need to know Sol, they need to know whatever. That needs to be tested. You need to give them some actual tests that they show their capabilities, either from their past experience or from the current experience. And from a salesperson or from a business development, you can throw, I love to use role plays and use cases. So you put them in a situation, you assign roles, and you make them play them out. And normally amongst different interviewees and different candidates. So they first learn how to compete against each other, and they also learn how to cooperate, because sometimes the case they will need to be in a team of 2 or 3 debating or competing against one another. So you see them cooperate and you see them competing at the same time, and you very well understand if the skills are what you need. And the second factor that I look for and that I think is key is understanding if that person, regardless of how excellent his skills are and how great his education and past experience is, how that person can fit into the organization. And if that person is fit to the role. So if you're hiring a CRO or a CFO or a head vice president of sales to be an account manager, you better have a very clear career path for that account manager to become vice president of sales soon, or you're going to frustrate that person and the person is never going to fit for that job. At the same time, if you're hiring a very junior person to deal with $100 million accounts, you better make sure that that person is going to grow and learn very fast, and he has the capability to adapt and really manage the pressure of handling 100 million or 1 million accounts, $1 million accounts, or you're going to be frustrated. So he has to make sure that the capabilities, the skills, and the experience match what that person is going to do within the organization, and it matches the culture of the organization. If you have an organization that is really open, that it's really horizontal, that it's non-strict at all, and that it's very easygoing, maybe a person that wants a very structured, very hierarchy, and is very used to having an assistant to work for him may not fit in it. And you have to understand what are the expectations of that person. If that person is ready to work long hours, or to do long trips, or to spend overnights, or to socialize with clients at night, and come back to the hotel after a long dinner, or if that person really does not like to be out of his own comfort zone or out of home, or spending many extra hours just socializing with clients. So you have to find what that person is going to have to do and what the others are in the team are like, to make sure that his personality and his personal culture will fit with the culture of your company. And that's the hardest part to understand. It's more of a hunch of intuition, experience, and probably getting them into a situation where you can mimic or play a role of what it's going to be like. And I do think that you have to look at every person as a mutual selection process. So I'm not only interviewing my candidates, they're interviewing me and my company to see if they fit, if they want to be in the company. So I tend to give them a lot of information about what we do, how we do it, how is it day to day, who is in the team, so they understand if they fit or not in that scenario. And then you mentioned for what are the best qualities I look for, or I think that are needed for a good business development role. I think you need to be outspoken. I think you need to be very communicative, very open. I think you need to have a very malleable, flexible culture. You need to be able to work in different environments. You need to be able to adapt to different environments, not only inside the company, but also working with different markets, different cultural backgrounds, different ways of doing businesses, and be very open, be very independent, very autonomous, capable of doing things on your own, taking initiative. You need to have a lot of initiative, and at the same time be able to deal with frustration and rejection very well, not take it personally. Because a lot of your initiatives and a lot of your tries are going to be rejected. So you have to learn how to deal with that sort of failure.
That's really makes sense, Xavier. And with that last note, I would like to end up the session. But I think I should have one more session with you to understand in depth, or maybe you should write a book about business development, Xavier. I would be the first person to buy. Um, that's all about the business development and all the tips and tricks and maybe in-depth analysis of your customer marketplace, how you handle the teams, how you build a culture, and yeah, what you should think about before getting into the business development profile. Thanks a lot, Xavier. Thanks a lot for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot for the invitation.